What is going on YouTube? It has been a while. I am doing a video on just briefly talking about the new updates in global, the Daemon and the Celeste. We got Naga once again, so I'll be doing that another time. But I want to briefly talk about the heroic and legendary, since I know people are still going to be asking questions, even though I've explained it before. So easiest one to be answered, this one. Should I make my celestial starry weapons heroic or legendary? Heroic, all of them. Doesn't matter which ones. Heroic all the way. Very, very easy answer. Now we have the Daemon weapons. So these are going to be a little bit different. I'm going to move this over to the side a bit here, so I'll briefly talk with all of them. So just give me one moment, and I'm going ahead and just pull up. Oops, not that. Where is it at? Screen capture. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do. Oops. Go ahead and show you guys the game with stuff. I should also add my camera here. Give me one moment. Okay, so I'll just put this on the side, like right here. So we'll go ahead and just talk briefly about each tier weapons. Very, very easy. So let's go ahead and do each one of these. So alright, so first one come up, we have dual axes. These are a bit trickier. Ardent, I'm not exactly sure which one you want to do for these. I always go with the best bet. It's just to make it heroic. You might as well hit it a little bit higher, even though it's not great. You're hitting a little bit harder, which is also very nice. Increased damage limit, even though this wording is awful, by 990% at max. Pretty cool. Even though the cooldown is pretty long, I would just say just do it with that one, the heroic. Thunder axis, again, probably the same one. I'm going to answer the same way. Yep. Just make it, these burst weapons must always be heroic. I hardly ever see burst weapons ever go legendary, so just make them always heroic. So that's it for the dual axes. Guardians, a little bit trickier. Personally, for me, legendary all the way. I've said it earlier, guys. Legendary for all supports. You get so much more stuff. Basically, you make it so if it's legendary, you will get the HP buff. Now, this is what makes shivering or trembling, whatever you want to call it, OP when it gets the legendary form, because basically back then you give HP to your whole teammate and that's not affected by EX wave, but the legendary for trembling or shivering, it applies to you as well, so that means you'll always have HP buff as long as the skill is up. That's why this weapon is very, very OP, and I recommend you go always legendary, never heroic. Full metal, a little bit different. Personally, for me, I like legendary because there's a specific reason for why I like legendary. Later on, you'll see that most of the end game fights use one. One is all you need for these fights because resurrection is key. So you don't need two anymore, you just need one. And I say one is really good because if you get it to legendary and you skill it up at level 5, it is basically 50% cooldown, so that's 60% of the buff up. Let me see here, the cooldown, I believe it's 1 minute, so you're looking at about 30 seconds per use, and EX waves are usually like 45 seconds to 1 minute, so if it's maxed on legendary skill, you'll always have it up. Yes, you won't get the 9-second extension for the buff, but I believe since full metal or steel spirit is a reactive weapon, it should always be on it should always be up, so cooldown is the way to go for this weapon. And that takes care of Guardian. We have Purple Moon and Yasha next. So these weapons, I say these are a little bit trickier. I did tell you guys to do legendary for dual blades most of the time, which I do agree with. However, since these weapons, these damage limits are absolutely awful. Like if you see right here, 50%, that is absolutely horrendous. Yasha, 100%. Absolutely horrible. So I will recommend for these, you would want to go heroic just for these, because you get a double increase in power limit. Skill power goes up insane amounts, and if you skill up, it can go up to 300%. Yes, sure, the cooldown is nice, but if you have quick territory with this weapon specifically, it's perfectly fine. Now, why I say this heroic and let's say prison to go legendary because they're about the same cooldown is because this weapon has absolutely terrible damage limits. So that's why you want to hit hard, because assassins, yeah, they are a hit counter, but they shouldn't do awful damage. I complain about assassins a lot because they do awful damage. So that's why I wouldn't recommend going legendary for these. You should go heroic for these. Because look, if you go to prisons right here, most people go legendary for these. It's a 15-second cooldown, but look at the damage limit right here, 300%. If you get this up to heroic, these are only 50%. It's not as big as Yasha, which is so that basically you'll always have this up with cooldown reduction. It'll always be up, and you'll always be able to spam this. You can use 1 or 2 of these, they'll always be up. That's why these should go legendary, and Yasha should be going heroic, because this damage limit is absolutely horrendous. So both dual blades for this as of right now make these heroic. When mythics come out, those should be heroics too. But everything after that, I would recommend just going full legendary. Goddess and prisons should just be legendary. Okay, so let's go to supports. These a little bit different. Butterfly legendary always. Reason self-explanatory, because if you have it on legendary, these weapons always be up, and you really want the reason for why you want butterfly wing is because of this right here. Actually not this right here. Where is it at? This right here. This is the most key skill right here. This will protect you immensely. This is the reason for why butterfly wings are needed. So best way to have it is just to have shorter cooldown reductions. The more you have it up, the more you can heal. In crucial moments, you can heal and give the immunity buff to all your teammates. Heroic, yes, you get the 9-second extension, but it's not spammable for like those key moments where you want to heal. And then you can just have this skilled up, and it'll just work perfectly fine at a skill 3. And we have the Starbird, Resurrection, Shogun Wings, whatever you want to call them. These are different. If you think about it, you guys already know the effects of the Starbird wings. I personally use heroic, and I can briefly show you guys why. If you look here, yes, you get the shorter cooldown reduction, but look at this right here. You get 2 uses for the Death of Resurrection, which is pretty cool. And the extension is 18 seconds. Notice those other weapons are 9 seconds. This is 18 seconds. How much is the effect by? Let's go ahead and look. It's 60 seconds. So this is right here is 78 seconds. So moments where it's like, hey, I need to use this weapon, and then EX wave hits me. Oh, well, I have another one. Sometimes 1 is perfectly fine, but in later content 2 is really nice, because you can always have an off cooldown. So that's why this is very nice to have. The 2 uses on this, and the 18 second on that. The HP reduction is nice and all, or the shorter cooldown is nice and all, but personally for me guys, I think heroic is the way to go for Starbird wings, and a lot of other whale Japanese players agree with me as well. Alright, and I think we're down to the last one guys. Magic swords, very self-explanatory, no need to say much about these. Burst weapons, you guys already know the deal. You want to go for damage, so you go for the heroic. Never go for cooldown reduction, because quick territory is a thing in the game. So burst weapons should always go for heroic, never legendary. Alright guys, so that's the end of this video. Just a brief explanation on the new series in the game that's been added. Hopefully this answers most of the questions for you guys. Again, these are my preferences. You can have whatever preferences you like. Just consider that the reason for why these builds are my suggestions are optimal is because I've seen whales use it. I've tested them out myself, or I've seen people use them, and I can give my honest opinion about them on how I feel about the game. So, with that being said, guys, thank you all for watching. Hopefully, I answered all the questions for you. If you have any other questions regarding X Legendary and Heroic, go ahead and just leave a comment in the section below. I can answer them. It is a lot to take into consideration because these are different types of evolutions. Very situational. So yeah, I'll just keep this video pretty short, guys. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.